Okay, guys and gals, about 10 seconds of the obligatory disclaimer. If you want to read the whole thing, just pause the video. Welcome, everybody. Let's take a look at the S&P 500. These are the futures. Today is Saturday. Let's see, what's today's date? It is October 8th. Saturday, October 8th. Here in the great state of Texas. For us that's been around a long time, we call it the Republic of Texas. So, we're looking at the monthly chart. Monthly. Before we get started, there's something I want to say that's really, really important, and I'm talking to my members here, but this applies to everybody. Okay, but it's really, really important to understand something here. Don't take a trade on or take a position on any product, the SPY, ETFs, futures like what I normally trade, options, it doesn't matter what it is. Never take a position because that's what you want the market to do. That's a really horrible plan. And I see a lot of people, they take a position because they want the market to do something. That is not a plan. Well, it is a plan. It's a plan for disaster for you and your finances. Wanting the market to do something. I see it in the comment section and some of the channels on the Discord server. Which, by the way, if you want to become a member, there's a join button right below this video. You click join. You go through this process. You pay for it, and then you can join the Discord server. Okay. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel first. I appreciate that. Then you can actually join, because I don't think you can join without first subscribing. And I would appreciate a thumbs up as well. Okay, getting back to the video here. Taking a position because you want the market to do something is a horrible idea. Horrible. It's okay not to know for a little while what to do. Okay, I'll repeat that. It's okay not to know what to do. That's better than taking a position because you feel like you need to do something. And I know a lot of people, if you just think about what I just said, especially a lot of young traders, I've got to be doing something because otherwise I'm missing out. That's a horrible idea. It's okay not to trade for a day or two or even a week or 2 weeks until the market gives you a reason to trade. I do mostly swing trades. I haven't traded in at least several days. Probably better part of a week because the market was chopping like crazy. I'm not going to trade that as a swing trader. So don't take positions just because one, you want the market to do something versus what the market's actually going to do. Okay, and don't take a position just because you think you need to be doing something. That's also a horrible idea. It's okay not to have a position for a while. All right. So we're looking at the monthly chart. And if you look at this big, huge purple cycle here, and then there's a smaller subcycle here, this yellow one, they end almost at the same time. The purple one ended in end of June, and the yellow one ended at the end of August. Okay, so right in this time frame was an expectation that the market on a monthly scale time frame would bottom. Well, if you give this thing a little room on each side, this one right here was out into August, end of August. Remember, this is a monthly time frame, so a month or two or even 3 beyond that is okay. Now, you'll notice that the price on the S&P 500 futures has come down and basically touched the 50-month moving average. That is really important. Look here. The bodies of those candlesticks basically bottomed out. Now the wicks went much lower, but the bodies are riding right along the 50 back there on the plandemic. And don't even get me going now on this whole damn the whole thing about the coronavirus. It just really makes me angry now that new evidence has come out about how this thing really came about. Okay. And then look over here back in late 2018, same thing. In this case, the wick came down, touched the 50-month moving average. Back over here, this is looks like about February of 2016, same thing. That little candlestick right there basically came down and touched the 50. Back here, late 2011, touched the 50. And they got below it on this one. If we go back to 2007, 2009, you'll see they pierced right through the 50-month moving average really well. Okay, but just in the last 10 to 12 years, you can see the 50-month moving average has been a support, right? It continues to be support. This one wasn't great support, but it kind of was. There are some differences though. Okay, we'll talk about the shorter time frames here in a little bit, but just bear with me on this video, okay? Because I haven't covered the longer time frames in quite a while, but I think it's worth, now is the time to do it. There's a big difference between all of this, even going back to here, the 2007, 2009 big crashola. Here was like from 2001 to 2003. But this pandemic crash compared to where we're at now, there's some big differences, and the big difference is the MACD, the granddaddy of all indicators. Look at this thing. All these big crashes come down and touch and pierce through the zero line on the MACD. They all do it. All the big ones anyway. They come down and they touch the zero line on the MACD and they go below it. Well, you can see we're nowhere near that now. So there's plenty of room to go. Now, it may not happen sequentially right now. We may not get this down to 2000s. I think that's where we're headed. Oops, sorry, hit the microphone. So why do I think that? Well, you can see it right here. You can see it right here. You can see it right here. This group of bottoms here and here, this is where this market's headed. It's going to come back down and basically probably consolidate somewhere in these price ranges down here at these lower wicks. And what are they? They're probably about 2,400. Oh, this one's actually about 2,200. This one is 2,300. This one over here is 1,800. Okay, so I have a pretty good sense that this is where this market's going to get down to, somewhere in the mid to low 2000s. Okay, before this is all said and done. But they may not happen right now. Now, if we take a look at this this big cycle right here, this yellow one, sorry, that ends in November of 2024. So about just a little over 2 years from now is right here. Okay, that's November. For my international friends, I'll even write out a sloppy look in November. Okay, November 2024. So in that mid cycle right there, I think it's like what September? It's October in the middle of this cycle. This one right here, like October of 2023, which is 1 year from now. Now, on a monthly time frame, a lot of times these cycles, they don't really have a lot of influence. These smaller cycles, like you can see right here, there really wasn't much going on. Same thing here. But of course, this was the era of free money. Now, I want to go off on a little bit of a tangent here just for a little bit, so bear with me. And I think it's really important to understand, and I've talked about this probably in some videos. maybe even a couple of years ago. And I think people don't really understand what happened and how we got this massive craziness going on. And I hear about the housing bubble. I talked about this before, so I'm only going to touch on this just briefly here. You know, people were tricked and told a big lie about that. It's a housing bubble. Remember the housing? Oh yeah, that housing bubble, boy, that's what did it to us. Listen, guys and gals, it had nothing to do with the housing bubble. The free, all that loose money. The Federal Reserve loosens money circulation. So why would they do that? The banks that have money and lend it out for home loans, they have to follow certain rules. Even back then they did. And everybody talked about how these banks didn't follow the rules. Of course they didn't follow the rules. The Federal Reserve told them not to follow the rules. They may not have put it on a piece of paper and sent out a directive that said to all the banks, okay, you don't have to follow the rules anymore. But what they did do is flood the market with lots of money. Now, why would they do that? Why would the Federal Reserve, back during the housing bubble, when we had the big housing bubble crash, why would they do that? Why would there be so much extra money in circulation? What was going on? And I talked about this before, and everybody just shakes their head, and I get all kinds of stupid comments. The money that flowed into circulation, had excess of money in circulation, was because of the wars. The Iraqi wars required a massive amount of money to be flooded into circulation. That's how you build jet fighters and feed soldiers and diesel fuel for ships and tanks and troops that are tens of thousands of miles away, or 10,000 more miles away from home. That's why the money was loose. What do you think when they paid all their employees, when all that money, when the U.S. government paid all these big contractors for all this military stuff that needed to be done, equipment and services, and everything that needed to support the Iraqi wars, where do you think the money went? It didn't just disappear into thin air. Corporations pay their employees a lot of money. And they put that money where? They put it in banks. Some of it gets reinvested into their business. But a lot of money went into circulation. When you have that much money circulating, what are banks going to do? What is their number one thing they do? They loan out the money. It isn't like the Federal Reserve could just hand money off to these big contractor businesses and all these businesses support the war. No, that's not how it works. Here, take a bunch of money directly from the printing press, from the U.S. Treasury, the Federal Reserve, and give it to companies. It doesn't work like that. You have to put it into circulation. So the Federal Reserve, back in the Bush era, the second president, loosened up all that money and put us into trillions of dollars of debt, which we never recovered from. So that's the real reason why we had all that loose money policy. The banks didn't violate no damn rules. They were told by the Federal Reserve to loosen, here's a bunch of loose money. That's like telling a dog, here's a bunch of steaks, don't touch the steak. It's like throwing steaks to a lion and tell a lion, you better not touch that steak. The Federal Reserve are criminals. Flat out, simple criminals. They're worse, and I've said it many times, they're worse than the drug pushers standing on a street corner. The Federal Reserve needs to be abolished, along with a couple other executive branches that need to be dealt with. So getting back to the chart here, right now this is a very tricky time to determine what's going to happen with the market. But if I were just looking at this, okay, just purely looking at this chart, let me see if I can get this to come back over here a little bit. There's no disputing that in the short-term indicators, we are definitely at looking at a bottom. Yeah, the biggest, lowest bottom we've seen in a long time. On the short-term indicators, anyway. Okay, let me clear the screen here. So here's the last time it really happened, way back here in 2000 to 2008, 2009. It's the last time it happened. The market slowly crawled up. But there are a huge difference between now and then. Back then it was loose money. Federal Reserve was printing up money like crazy. Loose money everywhere. Money flowing out of the, grown off of trees. We don't have that anymore. This is a different era, guys. There is no loose money. This tight money. And it's only going to get worse. So we could get a bounce here, but this is wait and see. We have to wait to see what this does. We have to see whether or not this 50-month support holds up. It may not. And this is just absolutely like hanging. I call this waterfall. That's a waterfall. It's wide open. How do you stop this? How do you stop that? That's going to take a lot to stop this. Okay, short term, we may see a bounce here, or we may see something riding along on the 50. I don't know. It could happen. Going into 2024 or the end of this 2023, you may get a little bounce right here. But this ain't over on a large time frame. I'm not talking about what you're going to trade on Monday. Okay, for you young traders that are always anxious, I can tell you guys are very anxious traders. Okay, we're talking about long term right now in this section of this video. This ain't over. There's a long way to go. And I would say we're going to get down into this zone right down into here. Right in here, guys and gals. That's where we're headed. Yeah, it's over 1,000-point drop. It's going to happen. Mark my words, it's coming. I don't know exactly when. This is not just going to turn around and start going up. It's going to come down here and sit down here. The Bank of England, God bless our brothers and sisters over there in the UK. Okay? They're one of our partners, the United States of America, one of the few. Personally, I think they did the right thing with the Brexit. No doubt it's difficult times there in England, but to be honest with you, bailing out those people with their retirement funds was a mistake. I know. There's going to be people who say, yeah, that's because it's not your retirement fund. And you're right, it's not. But the bailout was a mistake. Leaving your money in the hands of fund managers is a mistake. It's a huge mistake. Why would you let anybody else manage your money? That's ridiculously stupid. Stupid. Most people think, I'll just hand my money off to these people for the next 20 or 30 years as they take a piece out of my paycheck every week or two or whatever it is. I trust them. Wrong. You never should have trusted them in the first place. They will steal your money every time. They're not in the business to make you rich. They're in the business to make themselves rich. Talk about multi-billion-dollar funds. They can't just buy and sell on a Monday. It doesn't work like that. It's too much money. Do yourself a favor. Manage your own money. Learn how to do it. Okay, let's look at the weekly, and then I'll come work my way down to the shorter time frames here. Okay, this is the weekly chart. Definitely got some bottoming action going on here on the shorter time frames. You can ignore this right here. It doesn't really apply necessarily to the weekly. But let's look at these cycles and just review whether or not they're still accurate. I looked at this earlier. So here's way back here in the pandemic. Is it accurate? Yeah, it's pretty accurate, right on the button. This one, no, not accurate. Okay. This one's pretty good. That one's pretty good. That one's close enough. That one's good. Okay, so out of the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we've got 5. Okay, simple. Some of you have seen this before. It's a good idea. You should do this. Okay. So what is the percentage here? 7 goes into 50 how many times? 7 times with 1 left over. 1 what? 1/7. Right? Everybody remember how to do their fractions? 7 and 1/7. Okay? So in other words, a little over 70% of the time, this chart is accurate for the way that the cycles are laid out. Not great, but it's decent. So I'll stick with it for now. I've always contended that weekly charts and weekly cycles don't do very well. So 70% is actually probably pretty good for a weekly chart on picking out cycles. Okay, so what is March 5th, 2023? What's this one? October 23rd, which when we get to the daily chart, you're going to notice it's almost the exact same date. So this is October 23. Okay, sorry. October 23rd of 2022. Okay. That's what that is right there. Okay. Check it one more time. Yep, October 23rd, 2022. That's what that is. Now, it should be clear for everybody to see this, right? We have a descending, widening channel. It's descending. It does the bouncy bounce. And the channel itself is widening, right? The distance between here and there is getting greater. So the question that to me that really stands out is, and let me activate this drawing and extend it. Let's bring it all the way out to here. It's kind of like that. I'm splitting hairs here a little bit. Okay. Something kind of like that. So the question is, what is this diagonal going to do? Because it could zigzag, right? It doesn't have to come straight down. It could zigzag, and maybe it ends up being way over here and extends out. Maybe it comes way over here. It's hard to know where on this line is this down trend going to land, because we don't really know. Okay, right now it's like it's doing one of those. If I were just to kind of look at this, I would say, well, that puts us, where does that put us? It puts us in like November, or at the end of this cycle. But see how it could do one of these. See how this one came down, went up. We could get one of these right here. Down like this, up, and then it continues back down. Right? So that's why I said it's okay not to know. Right now, I'm not going to sit here and tell my members or anybody even publicly, I know for a fact this is coming right straight away. No, I don't know that. Eventually, I do believe it's going to do that. It's going to come all the way down, and even lower. It's going to get way down into this area. When, I don't know, but it's going to get down into this area between these two lines. It could be all the way out in 2024 when it gets down this low. So I'm not so sure this is just going to continue to drop straight down right now. We could get a bounce here. But one thing is for certain, on the weekly, we are well below the 50-week moving average, and we've stayed below it. And this chart, just like the monthly chart, looks weak to me on the MACD. On the short-term indicators, looks like they want to try to do a bounce, but they haven't done it yet. Okay, let's go look at the daily. I know the video is long, but if you want to know my opinion, here it is. This is the video. I'm doing it. Okay, daily chart. Just wow. What is going on with this daily chart? My goodness. The MACD looks like it wants to go up. This is important to understand this about the MACD. Let me squish this up a little bit. This longer term momentum is really important to understand. You should be able to see it, right? It's a big wave. Right? You gotta kind of take out the noise. It's a big wave, see it? You know, something like that. All right? Doesn't mean it'll actually do that. But if you just look at historically, you can see right here it got aggressive, went up for a little while. Okay, so anyway, with the MACD, you know, long term looks like it wants to rise, right? Looks like we're in a rising phase. Short-term indicators are now beginning to point down again. Let's take a look at. Let's kind of zoom in here and look at what's going on with these cycles here. So, you know, I'm contemplating redrawing these cycles, but I think it's a little too soon to do that, because they still look like they're decent to me. This cycle ran a little bit long, but it's only 2 or 3 candlesticks past the 28th. That's the 30th. Yeah, 29, 30, 30. Okay, 2 or 3 days past. So, you know, that's well within the allowance, or what we call variance, for the cycle low. So I'm not going to change it. I've been talking about the middle of this cycle, which is right around maybe October 12, 13, somewhere right in here. So if I had to just guess what I think this thing's going to do, okay, we're talking about this little tiny cycle right here. I think the price is going to come down. It's going to kind of stall as we approach the middle of this, which is October 12th, just give or take a day or two or whatever. Okay, it's going to come down in here. It's going to stall. We'll have to see if it takes out this 35.71. If it takes it out big, like if it takes it out, you know, 100 points below this, 75 points, that's pretty significant. Like if it takes it out strong, then we got to watch it. Then we have a left-hand translation in our hands, and the thing could be bombs away. So this 35.71 is really important. If it takes it out, like aggressively takes it out, you know, if we get down into the 3400s, you know, even 34.90 something, whatever, that's pretty aggressive. If it just takes out by 10 or 20 points and you're at 35.50, even 35.40, then I would say, okay, you know, we're still in the realm of this cycle, and the average is going to go up. Maybe it farts around, comes down a little bit into this time frame here, which is approximately, let's see, when does that cycle end? October 24th. Remember I said in the weekly chart, it said the 23rd, and here in the daily it's 24. So that's a concern for me, that we have both a weekly and daily chart, both almost to the day. That's why to me, we're not out of the woods yet. We are definitely not out of the woods. I do not see enough here on the daily chart that tells me, oh, we're definitely turning bullish. There's not enough data for that for me to make that statement. But that doesn't mean we're in some big hue that we're going to go down. So I said earlier, it's okay not to know. And right now, I can safely say this is a lot of uncertainty going on right here in this cycle. There's like almost, you know, a very choppy bottoming phase, and it could go on for a while. Look at this one, guys. Look at this, almost this entire yellow cycle right here. Look at this. It came down here, it farted around, it chopped, and then finally it broke out above right here in this little cycle and took off. But look at that. That's like how long that chop lasted. So what I'm saying to you guys and gals is you got to be really patient here, okay? How long is this cycle here? Yeah, 18 trading days. So call it almost, you know, definitely. You got to figure there's 2 weekends in there. So you're looking at what, about 24 days? All you know, more than 3 weeks with a chop sideways. This whole time in here, really all the way through there, like a whole month. Look at that, just fits into this small rectangle. So we could easily see this go on for a while. It could do one of these deals and just stay in this box. You know what I'm saying? When you get into these kind of big, huge movements in markets, up or down, especially in bear markets, you may not get this big drop off every time. An up, another big drop off, a big drop off, you may not get that every time. You might get this for a while. You get this sideways chop going on. So for those who want to know what to do on Monday, if you're asking what in my opinion, because that's what this video is, right? In my opinion, I'm not trading this. There's no dang gone way I'm trading this because I don't know what it's going to do. And I'd rather be honest and say I don't know what the market's going to do. And I don't care what all the talking heads say out there in YouTube. Oh, get ready, it's going to crash. It's going to crash. Well, guess what? They have a 50% chance of being correct. Right? Anybody can flip a coin. And they may be right. What I notice about people on YouTube is they're always really late to the game. Really late. They wait until all this damage is done, and then they come in and say, oh my gosh, things are bad, it's going to crash. Really? Where have you been for the last, 10 months? So my take on all this is, right now, the way I see this is that I think we're going to get a stall right in the middle of this cycle. This is going to come down, choppy, choppy, chop. Okay, maybe a little bump, bump, bump. I don't even think it'll be much. Okay, it could end up being like this right in here. It may not do this. I'm not saying it will. It could be just like this one. It feels like this one, but a little bit different. This thing could just come up, kind of be doing some zigzags here. It doesn't really go up hard, doesn't really go up low. That would be very typical of a bottoming kind of behavior. So for me, it's pretty simple. If the price comes down and gets into the 3400s, okay, it comes down here, it gets into the 3400s, then I think there's a decent chance that this cycle is a left-hand translation cycle. And then from then on, all the way over to there is it's going to be weak. It's going to finish weak. What did I say that was? Yeah, November 10th. That would be November 10th. Okay. If we get down to 3400s, okay, I think that's a little too far down, and that's, to me, is a sign of weakness, and I don't think this cycle will recover. Could be wrong, but that's my take. The further we get below 35.71, the less chance this will be a strong cycle, and the bigger chance that it'll be a weak cycle all the way to this date, November 10th. Okay, if it stays above this or around this, if it just gets down to 35.50, one of those deals, okay, then I still think this cycle has a chance of being fairly strong, or at least flattening out, kind of like this one, and then later into this next cycle over here, things could get strong. I don't know. We'll see. But to me, a lot of it has to do with this 35.71. If we stay around it, okay, things could come up. But it might be choppy. It might be choppy like this. It may not be this big swing up and everybody can make $1,000 in one day like we've been doing. $1,000 in a few days. That time might be over, guys. For at least for a little while. This time about making a few $1,000 in a couple, 2, 3, 4 days, we may not see that for a while. At least from a swing trader standpoint. I mean, intraday traders may be able to pull off some really, really big days. So for me, I haven't taken any trades in a while. I made a lot of money in all this stuff. Okay, this right here, this is garbage. I mean, it's not tradable. Not swing trades. This is not swing trade territory. This is intraday, day trader stuff. Great. Day traders have that. I have a blast. Make money. For swing traders, no. Come Monday, I have no idea what this is going to do. You have to wait and see. I think, like I said, 35.71 is the big deal. Aggressively below it, I think that this cycle is broken. If it stays at or near it, okay, great. We're in a bottoming phase, and I think that it could get strong and kind of come up. We'll have to see what it does. So as we get to the middle of this cycle, I think the price is going to stall. We'll see if it kind of comes up and then back down into that little area right there, which again I think was what? Yeah, October 24th. I just don't think right now that it's a smart. I'm going to finish up the video with this because I know it's going on 36 minutes here. I do not think it's smart to make aggressive trades right now. No. I'm not saying that people can't get it right and make good money. They can. But from what I'm seeing right here, it's not a good idea to make aggressive trades. You should be taking small positions or no positions at all, and patiently waiting to see what this market's going to do. Because right now, this is a mixed signal. It's a mixed bag of tricks. The MACD says we want to go up. The short-term indicators say they want to go down. There's so many ways this thing can play out. We are sitting smack dab right in the middle of these two lines. Right smack dab in the middle. There's a whole lot of room down to this line. So that's my take. If anybody wants to know what to do on Monday, now you know. I wouldn't trade it. And if I would, I'd have small positions. I don't care if your play is options, if it's stocks, if it's futures, whatever it is that you're doing in regards to the S&P 500 and the market in general, I would keep the position small for now. Okay, 35.71, that's the big deal. We at it or above it, that's a bottoming. Feels like that would be a sign that things are bottoming, and we could slowly begin to see a bullish kind of trend for a while. If it gets aggressively below that, let's say down into the 34.90s and 34.80s, then I think that there's a real chance that this cycle is broken, and it's going to be, it might still come up, but then it's going to be bombs away down into November. Okay, that's it. It was a long video, but I wanted to share that with everybody. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, go ahead and do it. Give me a thumbs up. Appreciate that. If you want to join, get on the Discord server, get more of these videos. I do, the videos that really I just put it out for the public. Okay, and members, of course, as well can watch the video. But really, I share as often as I can on the Discord server. I give my opinions on the Discord server, maybe not every day, but almost every day. Okay. And so if you want access to the Discord server, you're going to be getting my opinion on there. Okay, I send out nightly emails. It's no big deal, but I give my nightly opinion only. In an email, it's usually just like a small paragraph of what I think. I put a chart on there. Okay, and I do talk about the cycles, and there's a few other little things in there about the certainty rate that I put in there that for me, and it's not true for everybody. Some people don't use the certainty rate, but I use it, and I've actually made a lot of money using all these indicators. Okay, plus the certainty rate, plus the cycles. Okay, that's pretty much how I give my opinion. I look at that every day. I send out the email. Okay, and I usually notify everybody on the Discord server that I've sent out emails, and I chime in on the Discord server as well. Okay, so if you want to join as a member, you can. I think it's $5.99. There's also $7.99, but they both basically do the same thing. You're not getting any extra perks for the $7.99. I was going to do a change the membership fee from $5.99 to $7.99, but I decided to just, you know what? Just going to keep it at $5.99. All right. That's it for now, guys and gals. Hope you enjoyed the video. Talk to you all real soon again next time.